to this live teleconferencing session of Indira Gandhi National Open University. Today in this session we are going to discuss one of the very pertinent theme on your MA education program. We are going to discuss that is a review of related literature, its relevance and process. Before starting our discussion, let me to introduce myself. I, Dr. Niradhar Dey, Associate Professor, School of Education, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Welcome you all to this teleconferencing session on my personal behalf and on behalf of my school, that is School of Education, IGNOU. Friends, the topic that we are going to discuss today, that is review of related literature, its relevance and process. As you know, in MA education program, in first year of MA education program, you have a course that is educational research. The course code is MES-001. And in second year of your program, there is a course that is the dissertation course. Course title is MESP-001, that is dissertation. So today's topic, that is review of related literature, its relevance and process. You will find this title and this concept are included in both the courses, MES-016 as well as MESP-001. Now let us go forward to understand that what are the different important aspects that today we will be discussing. These are the certain important discussion points that we will be discussing today. First is how a research problem is associated with review of related literature. Then the second important discussion point is what is the relevance of review of related literature. And further, the next discussion point is what is review of related literature, what is the very concept of the review of related literature. The next we will be discussing what are the sources of review of related literature, what are the different sources that as a researcher you will be using to design your review of related literature and to use it in your research. And the last discussion point, that is how to write the review of related literature. So friends, these are the important discussion points. We will try to get answers of these questions that we have included in the discussion point. Now let us try to understand the first important aspect, that is okay. So there was a technical error. So now let us again focus upon your session. That is, we are discussing about what are the important discussion points that we will be addressing in this session. So first we will try to understand the relevance or the importance of review of related literature in research. Then further we will discuss that what are the different sources that we will be using for review of related literature, and further by taking certain examples we will discuss that how as a researcher you will be able to write the review of related literature. Friends, let us start our discussion by understanding a research problem and how a research problem is linked with, associated with the review of related literature. If I will say about the very concept of a research problem, that is, a research problem is a specific issue or unsolved problem or a type of difficulty or certain contradiction or a gap in knowledge that you want to address in your research. So friends, we call it is a research problem. That means it is an unsolved issue, it is an unsolved problem. That problem has not been solved. And what we are doing by conducting a research, we are just trying to get the answer of that question. And you can also define research problem as gap of researches. That means let certain research has been conducted earlier, and when you are analyzing the findings of the researches that has been conducted earlier in a particular area, in a particular theme, you will find that there are certain gaps between the findings of different studies. So when there is a gap between the findings that the researcher, few researchers are saying result in a definite direction and other researchers are saying the result in a different direction, that means there is a research gap, that problem has not been solved. That means there is the scope to do certain research. So that's why to know the research gap and to know whether the problem has appropriately solved or not, what you will be doing? You will be going through the resources, you will be going through the research studies that have been conducted earlier. And when you will analyze the findings of the research, then you will get enough information, you will get enough data, and you will get enough insight that what has been done and what has not been done. So that's why review of related literature will help you as a researcher in this direction to understand your research problem and accordingly to design your research in such a way that will give certain newness, certain innovativeness to your problem. Then accordingly you will get certain unique findings. Now friends, let us go through to discuss about how to select a research problem. I think you might have gone through the theoretical course, that is MES-016 Educational Research, particularly in the section of selecting a research problem, and you must have gone through these important aspects, just like for selecting a good research problem, the researcher should use his or her own experience. And when the researcher will analyze the professional literature, that means the review of related literature, there also you can select a good research problem for your study. Then by observing issues in the society in different contexts and perspectives, you can also select a research problem. Keeping in consideration of the current context, current perspectives, the changing scenario of the society, you can also select a problem. Then when you are discussing with the peers and with the experts, you will be getting certain insight that what type of research problem should be selected for research study. Then when you are engaging yourself in brainstorming with the academia, you are also getting certain insight that what are the issues that are supposed to be studied. Then from the process of theorization of the knowledge, when you are going through a theory that has been developed earlier, that theory also provides you certain insight that what are the next things that's supposed to be done. So that's why analyzing the theory is also one of the aspect, and from there certain research problem may be emerged. Then for the disciplinary based innovative practices, that what are the new things that is happening in a particular discipline. It may be education, it may be science, it may be any other discipline also. From there also you can select a good research problem. Then introduction of new and innovative practices in different areas. So what are the new things, what are the new innovations, what are the new technologies that are being conducted, that are being used in the field of education and in the field of different disciplines. So friends, these are the certain aspects. From here you can select a good research problem for your study. And further, particularly if I will say that what are the different sources that you will be using for selecting a good problem, just like very briefly let me to touch upon these sources. Just like when you are going through different articles, research articles published in many journals, then when you are going through or reading a PhD thesis, you are also getting certain information, certain data, certain knowledge for selecting a good research problem. Then encyclopedia study also provide you knowledge and you can say understanding to select a research problem. Then web-based information, WBI, then survey of research in education, theory which has developed earlier, courses studied in a program, then government policies and reports, committees and commissions, the report of different committees and commissions, just like education commission that has been established at a different time, and currently we have the NEP 2020, National Education Policy 2020. Then further the general culture and experience as well as the media. So these are the certain sources that you will be using to select a research problem. Now let me to further go through that for selecting a research problem, how review of related literature help. Very briefly, let me to touch upon the points, the very relevance of the review of related literature. It conveys the readers about the work already done and the knowledge and ideas that have been already established in a particular topic of research. Then it provides an insight to the researcher about the process and result of the study. Then to establish gap of research and inconsistencies in a body of knowledge. Then to identification of a research problem. Then it also helps to state research questions and objectives. Friends, we do a rigorous analysis of review of related literature, because the proper analysis of review of related literature will provide you to understand about the gap of the study, and further that will also help you to design your entire research. That means what objectives, what research questions, what hypotheses, and what type of tools that has been used by the earlier researchers in the particular area relating to that problem that you have selected, and at the same time how the data has been analyzed, whether qualitative data has been collected or quantitative data has been collected, and if quantitative data has been collected, what data analysis techniques that has been used to analyze and interpret the data, and further what type of findings has been received. So these are the things that will help you to understand a definite or a clear-cut status of a research problem, unsolved problem, and further in your research what new things you are going to do. So how you are adding certain value, how you are adding certain innovativeness, certain newness to your research, because we understand that every research, it may be in education discipline or it may be in any other discipline, every research is considered as a new research, as an innovative research. It may be a master level dissertation or it may be a higher studies, just like a PhD level dissertation also. So that's why review of related literature will provide you a clear status of a research problem, and that will further help you to conceptualize, to design and conduct your study, and accordingly to fill the research gap that you have earlier analyzed by analyzing the review of related literature. Now further to discuss more about the relevance of the review of related literature, let me to focus upon these points. That is, the review of related literature also helps to discuss unanswered questions in research, then to avoid repetition of an earlier conducted study, then identification of a strong theoretical conceptual framework of research problem, and it also helps to decide the research method, design, sample, tools used, and techniques of analysis of data. I have already explained it, that it will help you for conducting your study, starting from conceptualizing the study, then further to designing the methodology, to collect data, to analyze data, and also to establish the research findings. Now let me to proceed forward to understand that what is the review of related literature, what is the very concept of the review of related literature. Review of related literature is one of the most important steps of research process. It is an account of which is already known about a particular phenomena. Review of related literature is a comprehensive summary of previous research on a topic, and it is also a literature review that is a body of text that aims to review the critical points of knowledge on a particular topic of the research. So here the RRL, the review of related literature, that is simply going through the studies that has been conducted earlier and to analyze that study and to summarize that study with the brief points, with the important points, and that will further help you to conduct your study. Friends, when I talk about the sources of review of related literature, that from where, what are the different sources that you will be using to get the researches and further to analyze it, to review it. So we will be using two types of sources. One is called as the primary sources and other is called as the secondary sources. Primary sources, that includes, as a researcher, what you are doing, you are collecting data, and at the same time certain primary sources, the data which is available, you are just directly engaging yourself to interact with them, to take their interview or to observe, and you collect data. And secondary sources, you will find that the published literatures, it may be policy research, it may be dissertation report, it may be articles, research articles published in different journals, different articles, and it also includes the encyclopedia, it includes the books also, and newspaper articles. So all such things comes under the secondary sources. So for doing a good study, you are supposed to use these two types of resources, particularly for review of related literature. Now let me to focus upon that. What are the important sources? I have already explained, but let me to take the name that as a MA education learner, how you will be doing to get the review of related literature. First of all, published thesis, I have already said. It may be master dissertation or it may be a PhD thesis. Then different research journals, you will get research articles in journals. Then website and encyclopedia that you will be using. Then government reports and documents. Then conference proceedings. Even if different global and international conference, if you go through the detailed conference proceedings, you will find that many articles, many research papers are published in that proceedings. And that will also help you a lot to understand that what are the current status of a research problem and what are the different current areas on which the problem, the research is happening at the current time. So that also help you. The conference proceedings also help you to get optimum information about different research problem and to link it with your research. Then further, newspaper and periodicals are also another source. Then of course the books, then open educational resources and internet. Nowadays you will find that the students are using the open educational resources, OER, open educational resources. You will find the international educational institutions, it may be Commonwealth of Learning, it may be UNICEF, UNESCO, World Bank. So they are also publishing many good literature. They are also publishing many good studies, many good reports also on different aspects, on different issues relating to education, relating to school education, teacher education, pedagogy, leadership and management, technology. So these are the certain sources that you will be using to find out the status of your research problem, that what has been done earlier, and accordingly how you can give certain newness, certain innovativeness to your research problem. Now friends, let me to explain very briefly how to write the review of related literature. When you are writing, after analyzing it, when you are reporting it in your dissertation, so what are the different steps that you will be following or you will be including in your dissertation, in your MA education dissertation particularly. First of all, the first point or the first step is search for relevant literature. So the sources that I explained in the previous slide, so what you will be doing, you will be going through the sources, different sources, and you will be engaging yourself to get the relevant literature. That means many literature you will get, many studies you will get, but you have to find out that what are the different studies which is directly related with your research. Only those relevant studies you have to select for your study. So that's why first step is search for the relevance literature from different sources, and the second step is evaluate the sources. The sources, first you find out whether that is an authentic source or not. Many a time, particularly in web-based data, particularly when you are going through internet, you will find that the source is not authentic. Someone has written something in his or her blog, and you are considering that as if that is the true knowledge. You are considering as if that is the authentic source. So friends, this is my earnest request that whenever you are getting a literature, go through its originality of the sources, and if you understand that yes, that is the original source, then definitely use it if it is related to your study, and if that source is not original, then do not use that source. So this is the second step, that is evaluate the sources, and third is identify themes and the gap. Okay, so further what you will be doing, you have already gathered some of the review of related literature. You have to analyze it, you have to interpret it, and you have to find out the gap. That means gap of the findings. What has been conducted earlier, what are the different findings has been highlighted, and whether all the findings are directing the same same direction or not, whether the findings are going in the same direction, or whether there are any contradiction. Okay, so if there is the contradiction, then you can say that yes, that is the clear-cut gap. So you have to understand those gap, and you have to write down, you have to make a list of what are the different gaps that you have analyzed, and further outline the structure. You have to make a structure that what are the different things you supposed to record, you supposed to include in your study. You see, in a PhD thesis, it may be in 300, 400 pages, and even if in a master dissertation, it may be within 100 pages. But here it is not possible to mention everything in your dissertation as a review of others' research. So that's why you have to make a proper format of it, a proper structure of it. And that structure, what are the different things that structure will include, we will discuss further. Then after making a proper structure, then further you will try to write the review of related literature. Now let me to focus upon that how to write a good literature review. Doesn't just summarize the sources, but it analyzes, synthesizes, and critically evaluates to give a clear picture of the state of knowledge on the subject, identify the gaps, and provide a direction for the research. So unless you properly analyze the review of related literature, you cannot establish the gap, and you cannot do justice to your research. Now friends, now let me to focus upon that what are the different directions that you are supposed to consider when you will write the review of related literature. Just like when you will write the reviews, definitely you have to mention the name of the author as well as the year of the study conducted, the nature and the level of the study, whether it is a master dissertation or a PhD study or an independent research work, or whether it is a project, then title of the research work, a dissertation, a project, a book, report, or a study, then the methodology used in the study, then how this has been designed. Then further the major findings related to the present research work. But here one thing you are supposed to keep in your mind, that is a detailed reference of review of related literature has to be given in the reference section of the thesis or the report. Now let me to give one example. This example will make you clear that how you can write review of related literature in your dissertation, particularly in your master dissertation. I have taken a study and I have tried to develop, analyze it and develop a reviews for a study. Just like the name is here, the surname is Sharma as an example. Then year of study is 2009. Conducted a PhD study. This is the level of the study is PhD. And title of the work is Study Habits of High Achieving CBSE and State Board Students of Secondary School Examination. This is the title of the study. And here is the review. The study reported that high achieving students, irrespective of their boards, were very laborious and spending around 7 hours a day in studies apart from their regular school hours. So this is one of the findings. Second findings that you have reported here, around 75% of high achieving students were participating in private tutorials or coaching. They were spending 2 to 3 hours in their coaching and private tutorials in a day. Apart from the scholastic activities, most of the high achieving students had engaged in different co-scholastic activities. So friends, here you see 3-4 important findings that has been reported in this review of related literature. Then accordingly, let 20 or 30 studies you have analyzed, you have to develop, or you have to write 20 to 30 paragraphs, and further you have to analyze all the reviews and you have to make a summary of it. And further, when you will analyze the summary, then definitely certain gap will emerge, and that gap will further help you to design your study and accordingly to conduct your study. So friends, in MA education dissertation work, when you are preparing the research proposal as well as the research report, review of related literature is one of the section. In a dissertation, it is one of the independent chapter, and in research proposal, it is a point, it is a section. Then you supposed to go through the studies that has been conducted earlier, and you have to report those studies accordingly, that as per the example that I have given. Then accordingly you have to justify your research problem. You have to justify the newness of your research problem. So friends, in our next session we will discuss on another topic, and in any other day we will be discussing review of related literature in a very detailed way, and we will be discussing more and more examples that how you can conduct your study and how you will address particularly this chapter review of related literature. Thank you.
In the current global economy and digital era, learn or perish is the order of the day for all adults in all sectors of life. As a result, adult education and lifelong learning have assumed great significance. IGNOU as a national university has played its role by way of coming up with the Master of Arts in Adult Education program, MAAE.
MAAE program focuses on different aspects of theory and practice, policies and programs, as well as research, among other things related to adult education.
MAE is a 2-year modular program with multiple entry and exit options. Students who complete first year of the program will be awarded with the postgraduate diploma in adult education. In case they want to continue, they will complete the second year program and they will be awarded with the Master of Arts in adult education.
MAE program
Hello learners, welcome to this live teleconferencing session of Indira Gandhi National Open University. In this session, we are going to discuss one of the very pertinent title from your MA education program, particularly the course that is MES-016 Educational Research and MESP-001 that is Dissertation. Today's discussion is on descriptive survey method in educational research. Before starting our discussion, let me to introduce myself. I, Dr. Niradhar Dey, Associate Professor, School of Education, Indira Gandhi National Open University, welcome you all on my personal behalf and on behalf of my school, that is School of Education, to this teleconferencing session. So friends, in educational research, that is from the course MES-016, that you have studied in your MA education program first year, you must have gone through different sections, different blocks, different units relating to different aspects of educational research. And definitely you must have studied about different methods of educational research, just like how to conduct a historical research in education, how to conduct a philosophical research, particularly in education discipline, how to conduct a survey types of research, or particularly if I will say that is descriptive survey research in education discipline, and further how to conduct an experiment or experimental research in education discipline. The theoretical construct, the theoretical knowledge, I hope that you must have studied from MES-016 educational research course. And further, in the second year of your program, you have a course that is MESP-001, course title is Dissertation. And dissertation is the practical oriented course, that is the project course. The theoretical construct, the theoretical knowledge, the understanding on conducting research that you have, the knowledge and understanding that you have gathered, that you have received from educational research theoretical course. Further, in the second year, you are supposed to practically use it. By using those concepts, you are supposed to conduct a study, and you are supposed to write a report. And in the course of these studies, it may be a theoretical course or it may be a practical course. One of the research method that today we are going to discuss, that is descriptive survey method in educational research. So how descriptive survey method you will be using in your research. And I can say that if I'll go through the research proposal that you are submitting and the dissertation report that you are submitting, I find that most of the students, they conduct their study or they do a type of survey research, and very few students, they turn out, they come forward with conducting study by using other methods, just like it may be a historical method, or it may be a type of philosophical research, or it may be by conducting a rigorous experiment, or that you can say experimental research. But most of the students, they focus upon or they design their study by conducting a descriptive, by using a descriptive survey method. So friends, in this session we will be discussing that what are the different things you are supposed to keep in your mind when you select or when you are using descriptive survey method for conducting your dissertation work in MA education program. Now let me to go forward. I have already explained that what are the different methods as a student of education you are supposed to use in your research work, in your dissertation work. Mostly 4 types of methods we use, that is philosophical method, or we can say philosophical research, then historical method, that is the historical research, then descriptive method or descriptive research, and the 4th one is the experimental method or the experimental research. In philosophical research, what we do, we try to understand the vision, we try to understand the ideas, just like Gandhiji's views on education, or in the contemporary society, or you can say at the present time. And I can say that the current document or the current education policy is in our hand, that is NEP 2020, National Education Policy 2020. If I will say that whether Gandhiji's vision on education, Gandhiji's ideas on education, whether this has been reflected in NEP 2020 or not. To conduct such type of study, definitely you should go through the literature, the primary literature that has been developed by Gandhiji, or which is available, that reflect upon Gandhiji's educational thought or Gandhiji's concept on education. And further you have to analyze the NEP document, National Education Policy 2020, and you have to just analyze it, what are the different concepts that at the present time that has been reflected here in NEP about the Gandhiji's, you can say, the vision on education. And further, to talk about the qualitative research, I can say that historical research, I can say that the things that has been conducted earlier, so there is the need, many a time we analyze the things which is available or that has been conducted earlier. Okay, because that will further provide you or provide a shape for designing our present and for practicing or shaping our you can say present time, or to shaping our present education system. So that's why if I will tell about the reports of different education commissions, committees and commissions, I can take the example of the University Education Commission 1948-49. Then second, that is your Secondary Education Commission, that is also called as the Mudaliar Commission 1950-53. Then the Education Commission 64-66, that's called as the Kothari Education Commission. Then further the Education Commission or the National Education Commission 1968. Then further NPE 1986, National Policy and Education 1986. So these are the history now. At a time, these commissions had been established, and the commission has submitted their report, and according to that report, did an education system that has been shaped. Okay, so that has been implemented. Many findings have been implemented, and you can say that many findings that has not been implemented yet also. And at the recent time, we have NEP 2020 that has been notified in 2020, okay, National Education Policy. In historical research, what we do, the things that has been conducted earlier, we can also analyze those documents and find out the chronology, to find out the development, how the school education has been developed in India, and further how the teacher education has been developed in India, how it has emerged, and further how this has been developed, and it has taken its current shape. That means what you are using today, the teacher education practices or the curriculum or the structure of the teacher education that we are using today. And different stages of education, and you can say the structure of education. For proper analysis what we will be doing, we can conduct a type of developmental study, we can conduct a type of historical study. And in a historical study, both qualitative and quantitative data, within the scope of historical study, you will be getting two types of data. Accordingly, in philosophical study also, you will be getting two types of data, both qualitative data as well as quantitative data. So to know the developmental characteristics, to know the chronology, we conduct a historical study. To know the vision, to know the ideas, and to know the contemporary use of a certain aspect, certain vision of any educationist, any thinker, you can conduct a type of philosophical study. And further, the third is the descriptive research. Descriptive research is the most important research. Here what you are doing as a researcher, you are just studying the present status, the current status of a research problem. That means you have to go to the field and you will involve yourself, you will engage yourself, interacting with the subjects, with the sample, with the population. It may be the teachers, it may be the students, it may be the community members, maybe the parents, okay. And by interacting themselves, you will get certain data, and you will find out the status of the problem. And by analyzing those data, you have to reach at the present practices. So that's why when I talk about a descriptive survey, it means it focuses upon to understand the present status or the current status, the current practices of a research problem, current practices of an issue, of a theme, of a research problem. And here, in a descriptive survey method, further we will be discussing with detail. In a descriptive survey method, there is the scope to get two types of data. One is the qualitative data and other is the quantitative data. And if you ask me whether which type of data, the scope of getting which type of data is more here, I can say that the scope of getting qualitative data and quantitative data are more or less equal. And many a time you can conduct a pure qualitative study also, and you can conduct a pure quantitative study, and many a time you can conduct a mixed method types of study. That means you can just include both quantitative aspect, that's called as the positivist paradigm, and the second one is the qualitative structure or the qualitative aspect, that's called as the non-positivist paradigm, or that's called as the humanistic paradigm. So two types of things you can do. That means by conducting certain tests, you can just get certain score, certain number for analyzing it quantitatively in your study. And in a descriptive survey method, you can also observe the situation or observe the person, observe certain, you can say, events which is happening. And from there, you can also record certain information, certain data, and further you will be using those data for conducting your study qualitatively. Further, in qualitative research, particularly that's come under the descriptive survey method, you can take the interview. You can take the interview of different clientele group. It may be parents, teachers, principals, experts, education experts, subject experts, then parents, then local government, right? So you can establish a type of interaction with them, and you can collect data qualitatively, and you can conduct your study. And further, you can also do a type of focus group discussion, right? So within a group, you can just take an issue that may be one of the aspect of your research problem, and you can establish a type of focus group discussion, that what is the context of the students to understand a particular aspect, and what is the context and perspective of the teachers to understand certain aspect. There is the classroom situation. In a classroom situation, how the students conceive that classroom situation and how a teacher conceives that classroom situation. Then what is the gap between these two? The form, or you can say when the teachers are teaching to the students, whether the aims objectives, whether the instructional objectives or the learning outcomes that has been taken, that has been fixed by the teacher, whether it has reached at the students properly or not, whether the students are achieving those learning outcomes or not. To understand all such things, you can also conduct a type of focus group discussion. You can observe the class, and at the same time, you can also do the focus group discussion. That means what the students really want, and what the teachers do in the classroom, and what type of things the teacher is supposed to do. To know all such things, you can also make a group of teachers, students, parents even. You as a researcher, you can establish, you can conduct a type of focus group discussion. Further, we will be discussing detail. And the fourth one is the experimental study, right? In experimental study, mostly it is quantitative in nature. You will get data which is in terms of numbers. Okay, you will get the data in terms of numbers. That means you will get certain score, and further you will be analyzing those scores by using certain statistical techniques. Okay, it may be you can say a parametric statistics, or it may be a non-parametric statistics. By using the simple statistics, you can say measures of central tendency, measures of variability, correlation statistics, and even if the t-test, significance difference between two means, to understand whether there are any significance difference between two means, you can employ here a t-test. And further, if it is a non-parametric statistics, you can also use chi-square and other types of statistics. So here what I mean to say, in an experimental study, you have to involve yourself in a rigorous experiment. You have to take two groups. One is the experimental and other is the control group. And you have to do an experiment in a controlled situation. And further, you have to compare the result of the two groups, the experimental group as well as the control group. Okay, and you have to compare the two results to know whether there are any difference between the set of two scores or not. And we conduct the experimental study to know the present status, and further to know the effectiveness, to know the impact of certain things on teachers' behavior, on students' behavior, what we do in the teaching learning process, and further in future whether a particular method, whether a particular technique, whether a particular technology will help the students to achieve better or not. So we do a type of experimental study also, which is purely quantitative in nature and which is based upon purely a positivist paradigm. So friends, in education, all these four types of research method we use in our study. Now let me to focus upon very briefly what is the very concept of a descriptive study or a descriptive research, or when we use the descriptive survey method. I have already said that descriptive research we conduct to know the existing problem, to know the current situation, the current status of the research problem. So the very concept of a descriptive research is to study the present and existing status of the problem or the phenomenon. And it also helps, or descriptive studies are restricted not only to fact finding but many often result in the formulation of important principles of knowledge and solutions of significant problems concerning to local, state, national and international issues. Then further descriptive surveys investigate phenomenon in their natural setting, and their purpose is both immediate and long term. So friends, the findings that you will get by using the descriptive survey method, first of all you will understand the current status of a research problem, and further descriptive research also futuristic. That means the findings of the research will also help you to solve problems immediately and at the same time long term. Many a time under descriptive survey we also conduct a type of applied research. We also conduct a type of, if it is particularly in school context, if it is particularly in the context of teaching and learning, that we do in the school, right? The academic behavior of the teachers or the problem faced by the students. We also conduct a type of action research. So friends, it may be applied research. That means immediately you have to apply the result of that research upon that group on which you conducted the study, and you want that immediate, after conducting the study, you have to implement the findings, you have to implement the result, and you will observe that yes, certain changes, certain behavioral changes are happening. So for observing it, you can do a type of applied research, and you can also do a type of action research. So friends, the very concept of a descriptive research is to understand the present phenomena, the present status, and the objective is also futuristic. You can also use it in a long-term as well as short-term basis. Now, let us focus upon that what are the different bases that you will be using, or what are the different types of descriptive survey studies, and the types are based upon certain basis. Just like on the basis of coverage of population and units of respondents, you can conduct two types of descriptive study, that is census survey and sample survey. We will be discussing the concept of a census survey and sample survey. Then on the basis of time of events or stages of events studied, that may be of two types, that is longitudinal survey and cross-sectional survey. Then further, on the basis of nature of data and methods involved, this is documentary survey research. And further, on the basis of purpose of the study, it may be a status survey or a comparative survey, or it may be an evaluation survey or evaluative research that we say. So friends, these are the certain specific survey studies that we do under this survey research, under this survey method. Now very briefly, let me to go through that what we do in census survey as well as in sample survey. So friends, in census survey, that means when I talk about the census, I am using the very term that is census. Census means a large population, or the census that in Indian context, the census that we do in every 10 years. You might be acquainted with the terms that in our country in every 10 years we do a census survey. So here we touch upon each and every household of our country, and we try to collect the surface data about the household, about their economic status, about their education status, about the members of the family, about the population, and about the resources that you are using, the physical resources that they are using. So that's why census survey means gathering pertinent information about all the units of the population. That is, it may be people, institutions, householders, etc. Population may be consist of here persons, institutions, objects, attributes, qualities, families, everything it is included here. As example, I have just explained here census survey of India, which takes place once in every 10 years, that gathers benchmark data about each and every household of India, of our country. Since it concentrates on each and every household, it restricts its scope to certain surface level demographic data like age, sex, that is gender, income, education, lands possessed, cattle, nature of house, domestic facilities available, etc. So in a census survey, what you will be doing, you will be including all the unit of the population. You cannot do, there is no scope to do a sampling here, okay? So each and every unit of the population you will be touching upon to collect data. And further, the second type of survey, that's called as the sample survey. In sample survey, it means gathering relevant information about a smaller representation of the population under study. Population may consist of persons, institutions, objects, attributes, qualities, families, etc. Data gathered through sample survey are generalized to the population of the study. For example, study of a sample of schools drawn from a particular district towards implementation of Right to Education Act 2009 can be generalized as implementation status of all the schools of that district. So friends, many times, because of paucity of time, it is not possible to touch upon or to collect data from every unit of the population. So that's why what you are doing, you are just selecting a group from the population, and that group will further represent the population, and you are conducting your study upon that group. Let size of the population is 1000. What you are doing, you are taking let 10% of the population, that means 100 out of 1000, and you are conducting the study upon 100 sample, and the result that you are getting, you are generalizing that result upon the entire population, upon the 1000 population. So in this way, in education, you can also conduct your study. You can also conduct a sample study in your research in dissertation. Then the next method in terms of time taken. Many times we conduct study that takes much time. It may be a decade, it may be more than that time also. And many times we conduct study at the same time. So that's why there are two types of methods you can select here. One is called as the cross-sectional research, and other is called as the longitudinal research. In cross-sectional research, it is conducted at one point of time, whereas a longitudinal study is conducted at different points of time. In cross-sectional, data collected from different segments of the population, and in a longitudinal study, data collected from the same population. Cross-sectional, it takes less time to conduct a study, but a longitudinal, it takes much time. So friends, if I will give one example, in a longitudinal study, let you select a group of students at class 1, and you want to know the effect of midday meal upon that group of students in a long term, whether that keeping certain effect upon their achievement, their physical health also, their growth also. So what you will be doing, just you collect data and go through their physical parameter, their educational parameter at class 1, and further take data upon the same group in class, second class, then third class, up to completion of the school education. Then chronologically you can find out the improvement of that group of students in different aspects, physically, educationally, mentally. Okay, so that can be conducted longitudinally because it takes much time, and many a time without taking much time, at the same time you want to conduct study. So what you can do, you can just include many sections in a same class, even if a same standard in different schools, but the data that you will collect at the same time. Today you are collecting data, so what you will be doing, you can collect data from 5 different schools at the same time. So in that way you can include the cross-sectional study. In cross-sectional study you can include more than one variable also, and more than one clientele groups also. Then further you can also conduct a type of documentary survey. In documentary survey, we analyze present events from available records, and it is a type of content analysis. So what you will be doing, the documents which is available, you can just analyze those content, and by analyzing those content you can come forward with certain findings that what is there in the content. And two things which is very important here in a documentary survey, that's called as external validity for authenticating the sources and internal validity for authenticating the content. That means the content which is included in the document, whether that content is authentic or not, and further the sources that has been used for developing that document, whether that the sources are authentic or not. So these are the important things that you're supposed to consider when you analyze a document. So friends, these are the certain important methods that's come under the survey method descriptive survey method that you will be using for conducting your study, for conducting your MA education dissertation work. You can also many a time you can do a type of comparative study. You can also do a type of correlational study. So here you will be using the statistics of correlation to know whether two variables are positively correlated with or not. Okay, and you can also find out the difference between two groups in a particular variable. If I will say that whether there are any difference between the achievement of boys and the achievements of girls, particularly in the variable of achievement or in their intelligence, in their aptitude. So in such case, you can also conduct a descriptive survey method. So learners, today we discussed different techniques, different methods that you're supposed to use under the broad method that is a descriptive survey research. And in our next session on any other day, we'll be discussing on many other pertinent topics on your educational research. Thank you.